Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. If you've been following along with me on YouTube, you've seen the five-part series on single leg stance. And today I want to pull all of those ideas together and explain the thinking behind them. And because understanding why we choose an exercise is just as important as knowing what exercise to do. And getting the feel of it in your body is just as important as doing 1,000 exercises. If you don't know me, I'm Laura Turner. I'm the cheer PT and I'm a doctor of physical therapy and I'm a strength coach. And I specialize in movement for cheer coaches, personal trainers, moms who are training their kids to help you understand movement and help you keep your athletes on the mat and ready to go. You'll hear me over the next few weeks talking about different movement screens, and you've heard me all along. But I really look at single leg stance with nearly everyone. Now, I have some people that come in and say, I have poor balance and I just can't stand on the one foot. Or they come in and if they have pain, they can't do it. I'm looking to see what does it look like when you do stand. We look at, can you stand on your one foot for 30 seconds? For an older person, I might say, can they stand on their foot for 10 seconds? And are they actually standing stacked? The matter of balance and standing on one leg, yes, standing on one leg is a balance test, but it's also looking at what is your ankle doing? What is your knee doing? What is your hip doing? What is your core doing? And is everything lined up? There was a question in one of the cheer moms group about a girl who was doing an arabesque and her ankle was really rolled out, almost to the point where she was laying on the top of her foot. I recognize, and I know this, and I want you to know this, it's not always driven from the foot. What I loved, moms, is you all noted like it's probably her hip and she probably needs to strengthen her hip. Yes, there's some stuff that they could do cheer wise, 100%. But unless she strengthens the rest of her body, unless you find out exactly, is it the foot that's the problem? Or is it a sensory feedback or an awareness problem that she doesn't know when her foot is in contact? And so that series dives into that more. So we want to make sure that we understand the why behind a movement, the why behind what we're choosing for exercises, and not just giving blanket exercises. Because this could be that her hip flexor is tight, but it could also be because her glute max is weak. Or it could be that her adductors are tight and the outside of her hip, the TFL, is weak. And we don't know that unless we look at them move or unless we do some muscle testing, some hands-on and really seeing. So knowing the way they move, looking to see, does it correct when you are taking the foot out of the equation, that really makes a difference. And I think that's really important to look at and to find out why something is happening. So whether or not be the foot rolling out or somebody just doesn't have that balance in single leg stance, knowing why that's happening can make a big difference in the exercise you give. It doesn't mean you have to do 1,000 exercises. It just, you have to do the specific ones for you. That's a key piece for coaches and trainers to understand, and moms who are looking to help their kids, but having specific exercises that make sense, that create more awareness in the body, and they have a purpose for what you're doing will make your athletes buy in that much more. So when we look at that single leg stance, most people might think, oh my goodness, I need to correct the foot, like she's rolling out to the outside of her foot. And this may actually be that we need to look at orthotics. Does she need to bring the ground up to meet her foot in a shoe? Does it mean that you need just a foot out, stretch the hips out, stretch into your splits? Doesn't mean you have to strengthen. If she was rolling to the outside of her foot, doesn't mean we have to actually strengthen the muscles that pull her down into pronation and strengthen there. Or does it mean we have to pull the muscles at the hip to strengthen? The symptoms, whether it's pain or it's a movement dysfunction, you need to figure out what exactly is the cause of it and where is it driving from. And that's where movement screening and movement tracking, kind of paying attention to how you move with different positions, all goes together. There are other things that you can look at also that will feed into what's happening in this single leg stance. Or look at a deep squat or just a squatting pattern and how they do. That's a very complicated motion, but it tells us a lot what's happening at the hip and the ankle at the same time. We look at, can they touch their toes? Can they lean backwards? Can they rotate? All of that will tell us, looking from the foot up into the head, what's happening at each joint. And breaking that down and putting those pieces together will tell you whether or not you need mobility versus stability versus strength. And just standing on one foot And just looking at the snapshot in time doesn't really tell us the whole picture as to what's going on. If you are looking to see what I'm going to look at in a movement screen, go ahead and watch part 2 of this series because that will give you a lot more details about this. In part 3, I talked about corrective exercise. This is where we're really looking to restore the movement and get better movement so that when you're ready to start strengthening, you know that you are doing it correctly. The goal with corrective exercise is not to do the corrective exercises all the time. It's to get your body ready to go do a lift or to go to practice. I demonstrated bridges and ankle mobility, and then we got into some balance on one leg. That's creating some stability farther up the chain. We create some mobility in the ankle first to try and loosen that up and get the knee tracking over the ankle, and get into bridges so that we can get some stability there. And we can work on half kneeling, which takes a foot out of the equation and making sure that we get some stability in through the hip. So these are all just tools. They're not the specific exercises for you. They might be, and they're certainly okay to try, but those tools are a great way to kind of prime your body, get it ready to go, to build up and to get into the strength end of it, which is the ultimate goal, to be able to strength train, to be able to get the coordinated motion. I think it's really important to kids, athletes, adults. Nobody pays attention to what they feel like when they're doing an exercise. Many times people come in and I'm like, all right, where do you feel this? What are you feeling? And either one, they're stretching their quad and they're like, oh, my hamstring's cramping up. Okay, that means you're pulling too much with your hamstring and we're not getting into the quad. So can you let your hamstring relax? 9 times out of 10, people don't know how to do that. If we don't know what it feels like normally, how are we supposed to feel it when it's abnormal? And when you're doing a quad stretch, which is pulling your foot to your butt, you shouldn't feel it behind the leg. Maybe while you're getting it there, but then if you can let that muscle relax, you should feel that pull in the front of the thigh. Learning how to differentiate what something feels like and what it's supposed to feel like as you're doing an exercise is what will help to make a strength exercise better and a corrective exercise at the same time. So the corrective exercise that we do and the movement screens that we do are all meant to help raise body awareness, improve how you're feeling and the proprioception and the awareness of where your feet are on the ground. So then carry that over as you start to strength train. If you're picking up something heavy off the ground, like a single leg deadlift, to be able to get strong enough to do that arabesque, you need to know, okay, I need to feel this in the back of the body. I need to feel my hips shifting backwards and not just whipping through and letting the body go all over the place. Learning that control is where the strength ends up coming in. And most people will jump right into strength training. We want to fix this problem, so let's strength train so that she's not rolling her foot out anymore. But if you don't know why, and if you're just jumping into jump squats and power moves and cleans, but you're not really getting your movement quality down and your movement prep down, getting yourself ready to go, especially if you're a 45-plus-year-old woman, you need to have some movement prep in there to tell your body what it's going to be able to, what it is about to do, and to train it. And so you can do that when you get your body ready to go and you get into your strength routine, and then you're listening to what it feels like and you're working it to fatigue, but not beyond fatigue. It's going to help you strength train more. The whole purpose of doing a movement screen, doing the corrective exercise, getting into strength work is to start to be aware of what your body is doing in space and to make you feel better in that process and make you aware of what you're doing so that you work it just enough, but not too much. And that'll help make bigger gains in the long run. The bonus lesson, this is where I talk about the pelvis and how the pelvis matches what the foot does. And really like that video because it's very different than anything you're going to look at. That's also really more of a movement screen and something you can really do any day, but just reminding yourself that your body is connected. You need to isolate different parts. I talked just about the pelvis, but the rib cage, the head, all of that connects all the way down. And when you explore that motion and we start to feel what it feels like, we can reintroduce motion for what's missing and gradually get it back into moving better. Look at how each individual joint moves and what is supposed to happen in each joint. You're going to change one, how you look at movement and seeing, okay, she's rolling out and like, where are her hips shifting? Where's her trunk shifting? And is that because her hips are over too far, or is it because she's just out on the ankle? And so you got to break down that movement and get a feel for it. The client or the cheerleader has to get a sense for where is their body in space and what does it feel like. And the more we do some awareness movement and just changing that, it's hard to really move the foot and to say, okay, yeah, I feel the inside, the outside, but shifting your pelvis helps you to feel that a little bit more. So again, creating that sensory awareness so that we have better proprioception and sense of where our body is in space. That's bonus lesson 6. That's the video 6 that I would highly recommend going to look. I'd put that actually with the movement screen. You could watch them in order, gives you an idea, but the movement screen, that's part of your movement screen. And in the movement tracker, that's where you can break some of that down, and they break that down in there. If you're interested in movement tracker, that's going to be in the show notes, and you can just sign up for that and you'll get an email series with that and help you to track your own movement as you go and start to do that on your own. So you don't need to come see me in physical therapy. But definitely over the next months, I'm going to start breaking down movement and reviewing some different movement videos, whether it be cheerleaders or other exercises I see, and start teaching from that as we go. So be sure to follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. So keep an eye out for them. Just trying to start to look at different movement patterns, break it down, and hopefully get you to see where things might be off and get the feel for. There might not be a right answer. The right answer is what feels best in your body. So training your athletes to feel their body by creating subtle movement changes can make a big difference. Whether you're a coach, a cheerleader, a trainer, a therapist, or someone who simply wants to move better, let's stop chasing symptoms. Let's stop just looking at where is the pain and is the ankle, in this case, the problem. Let's look at the whole body and start correcting and putting it all together, because the body is one connected being and every little piece will move together. I have a client who has some knee pain and she has an old injury in her ankle, and her doctor said, nope, that's not related. But I disagree, because if you have an old injury at one spot, it's going to affect what happens to the rest. So if she doesn't move that ankle appropriately and doesn't create enough motion in the beginning, it gets more stiff, and then the knee can't move as much, and that needs the stability, but it's holding tight because it can't actually flex and extend enough, and that sets it up for more of a risk. The problem, knee pain, so then she comes in with knee pain or hip pain or even back pain, she's not getting full motion and not landing with the right mechanics on the that's affecting everything up the chain. So I think every old injury is important to look at. It may not be that we have to dive down rabbit holes with it, but it's important to look and see how that's affecting the rest of the movement through the whole body. And our body moves single leg. Every single step you take is one step forward, one foot's forward, one foot's back. So that is one movement pattern that we need to be aware of. In that, there's rotation. In that, there's side bending. The world's the limit. So we need to just pay attention to, yes, old injuries do matter. That's going to affect what happens up the chain. And stop looking at just the one site of pain or injury and look how that's affecting the whole thing. Check out the playlist. The 5 videos are right before this one on YouTube. It should be there. It's not in a separate playlist, but you should find that series and definitely take a look at all 5 of them. Break it up into 5 videos, because it took you would have been sitting and watching YouTube for an hour and a half. So you can split them up and watch at different places, but save it into your watch later folder so that you can go through. And then there's exercises in there that you can try that are good. They'll help improve single leg balance. If your mobility in these areas and your strength in these areas needs work, it shouldn't hurt anything. So if they do hurt, don't do them. Go see your physical therapist. And if they don't help, that's fine. Don't keep doing them. If they help you, awesome. Keep at them. So there's some strength exercises in the strength video. There's mobility and corrective exercises to get the ankle, the knee, the hip, and the core all moving better. And so check them out, as well as the movement screen that talks you through that as well. And if you're interested, I also have a Move Better app, which is a strengthening app. It's meant for strength and conditioning, but it also has a movement tracker in there that asks where you're stiff. And I'll give you, depending on the day, give you different exercises to help direct you specifically as you go. So the movement tracker that we talked about earlier, those are all in the show notes. So definitely take a listen for that. So, if I could give you one takeaway from this episode and from the movement series, remember your body doesn't move one joint at a time. It's connected from the big toe up to the head, and each joint has to move in three planes of motion with every single step that you take. And when you start to figure out what the patterns are and you start to see what's missing from one area, you can choose an exercise that will help to reintroduce that motion and make you feel better and move better on a whole. I hope you have a wonderful week. This is July 1st, 2026, as I'm recording this. And we're coming along up to our, if you're in the US, it's the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and Independence Day on Saturday. And so I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you do some things to celebrate your independence, whether or not you are in the US or worldwide. Celebrate and enjoy and give thanks and do some fun movement. Just take it easy, let your body move, and enjoy the ride. Have a great 4th of July. Just go have the most fun, swim, play, kayak, relax, and spend some time doing something fun and enjoyable, and let your body just ease into that. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to. And as my friend Drew Kelleher said, you're responsible for your own vibes. Go get the day.